Today I'm going to count down 5 cosmetic treatments that you almost always will regret. One of the big complaints that I get from my patients is that they don't like the hollows that they have under their eyes. These hollows can make them look like they have dark circles under their eyes, and when it's really hollow, the way to treat it is to basically fill it in. Now, the most common way to fill it in is to use an injectable filler, like a hyaluronic acid filler. And this procedure can definitely work very well. But there are certain fillers that you definitely want to avoid injecting underneath the eyes. Some fillers tend to basically stay the same when you inject it underneath the skin. They don't move, they don't get bigger, they don't get smaller, they just kind of stay there. These are the types of fillers that work really well under the eyes. And some fillers that can work this way are Restylane products like Restylane L and Restylane Define and Refine. However, there are some fillers that actually absorb moisture and they get bigger after they're injected. These in general are some of the Juvederm products. Now, I love injecting Juvederm into the lips, into the cheeks, into the nasolabial folds, but the one place I really discourage you from having it injected is under the eyes. If you get your lips injected with Juvederm and it attracts a little bit of water and moisture and gets a little more plump, people usually really like that. But when that happens under the eyes, it can look really lumpy. So if you are going to undergo under-eye filler, stick with the Restylane products, not the Juvederm. Now, I know a lot of plastic surgeons are going to get mad at me for saying this, but lip lift surgery should be saved for older people. By older people, I mean people who are usually over the age of 60. Now, a lip lift operation is an operation that was described decades ago, although recently it became very popular on social media. And some doctors are trying to advertise that this is a new procedure, when it totally is not. During a lip lift operation, skin is removed from the base of the nose to shorten the distance between the nose and the mouth. This will shorten the upper lip and cause the lip itself to become a little more everted. Now, on the surface, this can look really good for some people, even younger people. But my main problem with this operation is that it always creates a permanent scar. If you have a lip lift, you will have a permanent scar underneath your nose. And this scar can get thick, it can become even a keloid, and can look unsightly. Now, the truth is the vast majority of people that have an upper lip lift, whether they're younger or they're older, they end up with a nice, thin, hopefully barely visible scar. But there's no guarantee your body is going to scar like that. And so if you're going to have an upper lip lift, you really need to keep this in mind. Now, the reason why I say that younger people shouldn't do this is because younger people typically have more robust collagen and they may be at higher risk of a thick scar or even a keloid. When we treat older people, people who are in their 60s and 70s and even 80s, there are operations that we do that are cancer removal operations and reconstructive operations that give them big scars, let's say, over their nose, that within 3 to 6 months almost disappear. And I do believe this is because our skin has less collagen as we get older, and it's less likely to thicken and to look like a bad scar. So if you're on the older side, like let's say 60 years or older, and you have an upper lip that looks like Aunt May from the Spider-Man comic books, then an upper lip lift could definitely help you out. But if you're in your 20s or even in your 30s and somebody's trying to convince you to do that operation, and especially if you don't really feel you absolutely need it, then you definitely want to have second thoughts. These minimally invasive operations look too good to be true. And honestly, they are. So this was a procedure that was initially started upwards of 20 years ago, where we started using barbed sutures. And these are sutures with tiny little cuts in it that if you run it underneath the skin, those little cuts create little barbs in the suture, causing it to basically hang on to that tissue. So when you run the suture underneath the skin, it seems to stick, and it looks as if you can actually lift parts of the face with it. So back 20 years ago, this procedure was brand new. Doctors were doing it all over the place, and they were claiming that it was a non-surgical facelift. The problem with this procedure is that the results only lasted about 6 to 12 months at the absolute most. And the sutures that were being used back 20 years ago for these types of thread lifts were permanent sutures. They would never disappear. So even though your result will be gone after 6 or 12 months, those threads, those sutures, still stayed underneath your skin and sometimes had to be removed years later. Well, the suture companies have learned their lesson, and now they make these thread lifts using absorbable sutures. So the good news is that those threads won't stay in your skin for hopefully longer than several months. The bad news is the results still only last about 6 to 12 months. So the reason why this is a procedure that you will almost always regret is because you can spend thousands of dollars to get a result that will literally last you 3 months, 6 months. You're lucky if it's more. Did you know that you can look upwards of 5 years younger in just 2 minutes a day? You don't need to put a ton of products on your skin to look and feel amazing. The Youn Beauty 2 Minutes 5 Years Younger Skincare Bundle is perfect for the busy person who wants glowing skin with the least amount of work. I put these 4 products together just for you. They're made with natural and organic ingredients, great for all skin types, and perfect for all genders. Check out the Youn Beauty 2 Minutes 5 Years Younger Skincare Bundle at younbeauty.com and get over $30 off the individual product price. I guarantee you'll love these products or your money back. I have recommended hundreds of people to undergo Ultherapy over the years. So why is this listed as my number 2 procedure you will probably regret? Well, the answer is that Ultherapy is actually a good procedure and for many years was considered the gold standard for non-invasive tightening of the skin. Essentially, this treatment utilizes ultrasound energy to heat the deeper layers of the skin to a certain temperature that causes the collagen to basically tighten and the skin to look and feel tighter. Pretty much all laser treatments, radiofrequency, and now ultrasound therapy treatments to tighten the skin do it the same way. You want to heat that deep skin. The problem with Ultherapy, and the reason why it's number 2 on my list, is that there are other options that I believe are better today than Ultherapy. Radiofrequency microneedling, otherwise known as Morpheus and Vivace, are great ways to create heat into that deep skin in a minimally invasive way to cause that skin to tighten. And I do believe that this is a more state-of-the-art, effective way to non-surgically tighten the skin. If you look on realself.com, they have a list of pretty much all the popular cosmetic surgeries that are being performed today, and the people who go to the website will give it a worth it, basically a thumbs up or a thumbs down rating. And the latest one that I saw for Ultherapy was 66% worth it, meaning 2 out of every 3 people that undergo Ultherapy are feeling that it was worthwhile that they did it. Now that's not a horrible rating, but I do believe that there are better options out there. Now I need to start this off as saying I am not a weight loss specialist. However, gastric balloons have been advertised and performed by plastic surgeons all across the country. So that's why I felt that I needed to include this on my list and why this is the number 1 cosmetic treatment that you will most likely regret in the future. Now there are a couple of different kinds of gastric balloons that are FDA approved. And essentially how these work is that you swallow this balloon, it goes down your esophagus into your stomach. And while it's in your stomach, the doctor will then fill it with a sterile solution of, let's say, salt water. And the idea is very simple. By having this balloon filled up with salt water in your stomach, it takes up space, so you get full eating less food. And the truth is that people lose upwards of 5 to 10% of their body weight after doing a gastric balloon. Now the balloons are typically meant to last about 6 months, after which you want to consider taking it out or replacing them. So why do I not recommend this simple 30-minute procedure? Well, in April of 2020, the FDA released a communication revealing that there were 18 deaths associated potentially with gastric balloons over the past 5 years before that. And there are multiple reasons why it appears that people may have died after having this balloon placed in their stomach. These causes included gastric and esophageal perforation, apparently from the balloon being there. Now, I understand that losing weight is a very difficult thing for so many people. And the reason why I'm not a fan of this procedure is because I know that there are so many other ways to lose weight other than undergoing a procedure that is potentially dangerous, that has likely temporary results, and is being performed sometimes by doctors who really are only doing this to make money. So I would strongly encourage you that if you're interested in losing weight, instead of doing something like a gastric balloon, start with the natural options first. Talk with a nutritionist or a functional medicine physician or an obesity physician to look at natural ways that they can help you to take those unwanted pounds off. So these are cosmetic procedures that you almost always regret, but what are some procedures that you may have never heard of that you may find fascinating? Like, have you heard of the G-Shot? I go over some of the strangest cosmetic and plastic surgery procedures on this video right up here. They will blow your mind. And remember, eat real food, use clean skincare, and only consider actual plastic surgery as a last resort.